Hello and welcome to the Football Home podcast. It's just myself and Andreas with you today. We were hoping to have a guest panelist, but he seems to have gone missing on us. But the show must go on, as they say. We will just talk, the two of us. We will dive straight in and we will talk about the player and the manager of the month nominees which came out. Just get this up. Month nominees. Let me get them up. They're in the month Premier League. Okay, so we have Dan Burn, Brennan Johnson, Riyad Mahrez, Solly March, Marcus Rashford, David Raya, or Bukayo Saka. For me, it feels like it's a straight shootout between Rashford and Saka. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Andreas.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think who you said, Raya as the keeper.
Yeah,
I think he has done a pretty good job as well, actually, to be honest. Especially with what he got. But yeah, I do agree. If we look at star power and all that kind of stuff, it definitely is between Rashford and Saka. Yeah, I agree with that. I think if I had to choose between those two, I think I would give it to Rashford, to be honest. But it's very like you can give it to whoever you personally like the most.
Yeah.
I feel like both has been really performing this month. And yeah, really been a huge part of that team, moving so many steps up the ladder this month. So yeah, definitely deserving for both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a second. Sorry. Yeah.
Who would you pick if you had to choose between those two? If you remove your bias.
I think probably Saka.
Fair enough.
I think he's probably been best.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me with Saka is an interesting player because I think his skills is incredible, but it's not when I look at him I'm like, wow, this is going to be the absolute future. Like it's not like when you look at Foden or even older players like Neymar or guys like that, Mbappe. It's not, that's not where I see Saka as being. But at the same time, the dude is performing and is a huge part of Arsenal's success right now. So yeah, credit to him, and again, you can give it to whoever you feel like of those two has been the best. And there's a lot of arguments for either of them. So yeah.
Fair enough. We will look quickly at the Manager of the Month award. The nominees for that. Manager of the Month nominees. So we have Manager of the Month Premier League. So this is a shootout between Mikel Arteta, Steve Cooper, Roberto De Zerbi, Unai Emery, and Thomas Frank. I think there's an argument to be made for Steve Cooper, but like I know they've only they have been unbeaten, I think, this month, but I think that they've only really played the bottom sides. It's not like they've really played anyone major and gotten the results. But then again, that's probably the best we can expect from Forest. I don't know. It feels like Arteta should get it, personally.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, I think for me personally, Arsenal has been great this entire season so far, no doubt about that. But for me, the United match was really where I realized personally that Arsenal is really up there, and also just when you look at the points, it's really now that you really start to see how incredible it is what they have been doing. And if they continue like this, they will be up and make records with how many points they're getting. So yeah, I think Arteta is for sure my pick. there's a lot of other great managers. I think we remember we talked about Thomas Frank last time, but I think this month that's really rare for me. Arsenal has really showed that they are unbeatable right now. So at least in Premier League, we are going to talk about them failing a little bit later in this episode, but at least in Premier League, I feel like Arsenal and Arteta has really shown how good they actually are. So
Yeah, for sure. So we'll move on and we'll quickly have a chat about the Carabao Cup games semi-finals during the week. We had Newcastle 1-0 against Southampton. Oh, here's Jason actually. So we will quickly. I know he has to leave. Hello, Jason. Welcome
there he is.
Hi,
to the podcast. We will quickly have a quick chat about Frank Lampard since we have a resident Everton fan here with us. That was the big news during the week that Frank Lampard got sacked from his job at Everton. It was probably coming for a while, Jason.
Oh yeah, definitely. I actually liked Frank Lampard. I think he was always showed spirit and stuff for the team. But at the end of the day, it's a results business, and he weren't getting the results, was he?
Yeah. Andreas, I know you are a Chelsea fan. Frank Lampard is obviously a club legend.
Yeah.
What was your feeling on him?
Yeah, I think I've said it many times before that Frank Lampard as a person, as a player, amazing, no doubt about that. And I think as a manager, he has the potential to be something more. But like, let's be honest, when he joined Chelsea, he had only been in very small clubs, not really taking the steps up the right way. So it was just way too soon for him, and that's what we saw in Chelsea. It didn't really work at the end of the day, and then he got to Everton, and again, Everton is just such a big club historically that it's too big for him, and I don't think he necessarily did anything wrong, but I think I've said it before that he was not necessarily the problem, but he was just not the right man to solve all the problems, and that's the thing where with Everton right now there is a lot of problems with the owners and stuff like that. And then you need a guy that really knows what he's doing. And Lampard was great, and not necessarily a bad manager, but I just don't think that he was the man to really solve those problems. He don't have the experience as a manager, all that kind of stuff that you really need to come in and save the day. If Everton had worked really well and it was just going smoothly, it would probably have been much better, but Lampard had to do a really difficult job, and I don't think he quite had the experience for that. So for now, right now, I hope he goes to, I don't know, maybe the Scottish League or something minor, but still a big place where he can improve and maybe return to the big leagues in the future, because I feel like he has the potential. This was just a move that happened too soon, in my opinion.
Yeah. Do we feel like it is his fault? Do we feel like it was a lot all comes down to him? Like, I feel like, for me, it feels like he didn't really have the backing in the transfer window. Everton were a mess when he got there, and it's not like there was, it wasn't like Everton were this big club. They used to be, but before, when he took over, it wasn't like they were in a really good place. They were in a bad place. He took them over at a bad time, and he couldn't really improve them. It's not, it feels like he didn't have the backing. He didn't have money. It feels like his hands were tied, and the players he had, he didn't pick up this amazing squad like he would have at Chelsea or whatever. If he inherited a bad squad and he couldn't really make anything of it.
He inherited a bad squad, but he did still sign like 7 or 8 players who were in the team. So it weren't like it weren't his team, it was his team. Because the likes of Tarkovsky and Cody at the back, Onana was 35 million, Morpay was 15 million, Dwight McNeil was 25 million. So he spent some money. It's not like he hasn't had full backing from the board.
Yeah.
So he's spent the money and still hasn't improved the squad at all.
Like the money that he had wasn't going to be lots of money. It wasn't like he was going to get a huge budget. But I guess with the money he had, he could have bought better players than he did. I don't know.
He definitely could have bought better players. And the thing we've been lacking most is a striker. And to think coming into a season with regularly injured Calvert-Lewin and Morpay was going to keep us up, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Anthony Gordon was good, though. I think he's kind of been...
Was he? I think he's had about 3 good games. I think the fact that he's gone to Newcastle is the best thing that could have happened for Everton.
Wow, interesting.
To get 40 million for him, I think we've snapped a right deal there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's worth more than 10 million.
Interesting. We have a true Everton fan right here.
Isn't he? Was he not an Everton Academy?
Yeah, he was from the youth. That's why he was ranked so highly. It wasn't because he was doing well on the pitch. He scored 3 goals in like 4 seasons. The stats don't lie. He's awful. He's not even a good winger.
Well, that's really interesting to hear because, like, personally, and I think a lot of people felt that he was like pretty beloved by the Everton. And I know that you can clearly not speak for everyone, but it's interesting to hear Everton fans that is so diehard like you are having other opinions on that stuff, and that's the fun with having real fans talk about their club and what they feel with it, because it's easy to be outside and just be like, this guy is good or he's better, but it's interesting to hear the fans of the actual club what they think about the individual players. So yeah, that's pretty interesting.
You can have a good burst in a game, like you can have like 10 minutes of high energy and then that's it. You don't see him for the rest of the game. So I'd rather have him gone in the summer than Richarlison, 100%.
Yeah, do you think that is a big problem for Everton that Richarlison left? Do you think that has been a part of this being so bad, if you can say it like that?
But I don't feel like we've replaced Lukaku all those years ago. And it's just been a constant downgrade, and now we're downgraded to Neil Maupay.
Yeah, true.
Who can't get in the Brighton team.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. So for you, it's something that has just been going down for a long time now.
Yeah, it's since Moyes left.
It seems like Sean Dyche is the favourite to take over. What are your thoughts on him?
So there's 3 names that I've seen that are in the ring, which is Bielsa, ex-Leeds manager, Sean Dyche, and the interesting one is Davide Ancelotti, which is Carlo Ancelotti's son. I think Sean Dyche is probably the best choice to try and save us from relegation. But I don't think he's the best choice for the long term.
Yeah.
I'd like Sean Dyche to come in, maybe have a year and a bit, see what he can do. If it doesn't improve, then I'd be getting that Davide Ancelotti in.
Yeah, I think that's the key in all of this, that like Everton need to figure out what is it they want, like, because exactly as Jason just said, if it's trying to survive this, Allardyce is probably the best choice. But what is the goal? Like, what are we going to do next season? He will be great to try and make them survive, but will he be great for a full season next season? Where Ancelotti, he's that old experience with the club. I think that could be really, really interesting. Bielsa could be really, really cool as well. So it's very much you need to figure out what is it that is important for you right now as a club. And I think that's what Everton really need to do, because again, it is a really historic big club, and they really need to make a plan right now for what they want to do. And also I heard something about the owners trying to sell the club.
I think
Is
that's all
that
just
true?
media things. I don't know what's going on there.
Okay, yeah. But if that's true, that's also something that will clearly make a lot of this go around as well, because who will possible new owners want to have as manager, and will they even have a say in that, because we need you guys need a new manager now, and so there's a lot of stuff going around in Everton right now, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to follow, and I can imagine that it's very dramatic for you right now, Jason.
Yeah.
We
The thing
talk
is,
about
he can't sell the club because he's in the middle of paying for a £500 million stadium, which is nearly ready.
we talk about Davide Ancelotti. He's unproven. He's never actually had a full-time manager's role, I don't think.
Yeah, but you're saying that, but he's all these managers that are up and coming now, the likes of Mikel Arteta, Vincent Kompany, they're all come from a great manager being second to Guardiola. Davide Ancelotti is being second to Carlo Ancelotti, who is a great manager. So do we need that, like, mastermind second person to come in and fire us up a bit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
And also I think there's also the question of, probably not with Allardyce, but for Bielsa, for example, is it something that he would even want? Because right now it is a battle of trying to survive.
Yeah.
And let's say worst case scenario, Everton gets relegated. Would that even be interesting for Bielsa? Where with Ancelotti and an unproven guy, maybe that could be really interesting for him, no matter if they move down or not. And Allardyce could also love to try and make them survive. So it's difficult as a manager, because you need to think about, like, am I possibly going to get relegated with this, and like, what do we want to do? And that's where I don't know if Bielsa would even be interested. But right now there is talks of him as well as the other two. So yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't think Everton can go down. If they go down, they won't come back up. It won't be a case of like dropping down to come back up. We will be stuck
No.
there like Leeds were, because we've got far too many players that just get paid massive wages but don't put any effort in for it.
Yeah.
So we won't be able to come back up because we'll have to get rid of all them. Nobody will want to pay them the same money. The likes of Yerry Mina, he's played 5 games all season. He's getting 120 grand a week. Not a chance anyone else is going to pay them that.
It might be good though. It might be a good idea for them to kind of let a few guys go and kind of reset and actually start again from scratch and build a new squad.
Our issue is it's not trying to let them go. We want them to go, but no one else is going to pay them the money that we're paying them. So they're not wanting to go. They're happy to sit on the bench or put a crap 90 minutes in. They're not bothered. That's the issue with the club. We've got too many of them mercenaries who are just getting paid big money to do nothing.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of the key in all of this, because surely we can talk about all of this with Lampard getting sacked and all of that, but it's very clear when you look at the matches and the fans at the stadiums that they are not just angry with Lampard. It's the whole system right now that they are frustrated with, and they need all these posters of fans saying we need to rebuild and there's no plan and all of this stuff. That's not because of Lampard getting sacked or Lampard not being good enough. That's the whole club just not working right now with the owners and stuff like that. Not having an idea of what they need to do. And I get that's where the fans are frustrated. Because it's not just on the pitch, it's the entire club that's there's just not really control over it right now.
The thing is, our board isn't made of football people. We've got Farid Mashari, wherever his name is. He's the owner, or the main whole owner. He's just a subordinate of what's his name now, as Usamanov, who had Arsenal. So he's got nothing to do with football. We've got Denise Barrett Bexendale or whatever her name is, she runs a charity, so she's got no idea about running a football club. She can get to fuck. Then we've got Bill Kenwright, who's a bloody theatre owner, who was in Coronation Street, which is a UK soap. He's got no chance. He's been there too long. We haven't got a football brain amongst them. They can all get to fuck. They can all go. Bye.
Yeah, I think that's honestly the problem with a lot of clubs, that there's a lack of people actually knowing about football, especially in today's world. But right now, it's just clearly Everton that is very, very in troubles with that lack of playing and knowing what needs to happen. Yeah. Would you want to get new owners? Like, are you one of those that feel like new owners is what's needed right now?
I don't think we need a new owner because
everyone needs American money, right, Andreas?
True, exactly. It's working.
We don't need a new owner because the guy has put money into the club. It's not like he hasn't. We just need a new board of people that know how to run a football club.
Yeah, I get that. It's kind of like this is about Everton, but it's kind of the same with us, that like it's not money that we lack. It's definitely not that is a problem. As Harry just said, the American money, they run the whole show, and it's working. We get the players we want, but we are not really winning our matches, and that's because right now there's not really a plan of what needs to happen on the pitch. And that's where it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't have a plan of what you want to do with the players and how you want to play on the pitch, it doesn't matter how many money you have. I think that's also kind of where Everton is right now.
Yeah, I agree. But I think on paper the players are actually decent players, apart from a certain few. But we haven't got a bad defence on paper. We've got England's #1 goalkeeper. We've got an England centre-back in there. The midfield is Idrissa Gana Gueye, who still gets in international team. Just only moved from PSG even. And then you've got Iwobi, who hasn't been bad at all. He's come from Arsenal. And Arna costs us 35 million. So it's not a bad team on paper. It just doesn't seem to work. I think that's why Frank Lampard's being sacked. I don't think he's at fault for most things, but because he hasn't been able to get a tune out of the players he's got, he's obviously paid the price for that.
Yeah, and I agree, and I do think that if I do think other managers would have been able to make it work more than he did. And again, that's not necessarily him being bad or anything. It's just, again, lack of experience. Like, the dude went to Chelsea, then Everton, had a few clubs before that was very small. So it is a huge move for him, and understandably so. Maybe he was just not ready for that yet. So I do think that surely he didn't have the best squad, maybe, but I do think that that other managers would have been able to make it work better.
But let's not go too far that way, because we've had some decent managers, people like Roberto Martinez, who then went to Belgium and Portugal or wherever he is now. We've had Ronald Koeman, who went to Barcelona. Who else? Carlo Ancelotti. So we've had decent managers while we've had this owner, but none of them have been able to get us onto that next stage. Newcastle got money. Newcastle got money, and then they flew up the table with Eddie Howe.
True.
The thing is, though, like, a lot of the managers before him, that's the thing I always kind of say, a lot of the managers before him weren't able to do anything with that squad. And a lot of the same, so, like, I mean, so that kind of says to me that it's not the manager that's the problem. If several managers struggled, and world class managers at the same time, too, like Martinez, Koeman, Ancelotti, like you said, all top managers couldn't do anything with that Everton team, then you're asking, I think he should have probably been given more time. as a young manager to kind of bring in and kind of start to develop a team and see what he can do.
The issue is when you're a team like Everton, you can't give you that much time where you are in the league. If he'd have stayed, we'd have definitely gone down because he weren't getting a tune out of any of the players. We're now into the last week of the transfer window. He hasn't signed anybody. Even if that's due to a lack of funds, there's been no loan moves, no nothing like that. We haven't been selling anyone. It was way above his experience, not above his quality, because I do think, like Andrea said, that he will be a good manager. He will. I think he's got everything that he can, everything he needs to be, but he hasn't got the experience to save a team that is massively underperforming.
Yeah. They've had some decent results across the season. They've not won many, but I mean, they've got a couple of big draws at times, like they drew against City a few weeks back. There was a bit of a lean spell, but they drew 0-0 against Fulham, beat Palace 3-0, only lost 1-0 to Newcastle. United only beat them 2-1 in October. They beat Southampton, beat West Ham in September.
The start of the season
with
was
Everton,
fine.
drew 1-1 with Brentford. It was a good start. It just seemed to just kind of just go.
It went down south when we got beat by Bournemouth twice within a week. One was like 4-0 and one was like 4-1. You can't get beat by Bournemouth. Them scores. 8-1 aggregate in 2 games in a week by a team like Bournemouth. You can't do that and expect to stay up.
Yeah, 4-1 in the EFL Cup and then 3-0 in the Premier League.
I'm laughing because it's that bad.
I think also, if I'm not mistaken, out of the last 5 matches in Premier League, they lost 4 out of them, and the last one was the draw with City. So I think that's also where it was like, this is not working anymore. I think maybe that's where the owners was like, this is too much. But I do get what you're saying, Harry, and I think it's a very good point you have, that like maybe he should have gotten time. He is a young one, still have time to improve. Again, I don't think he has the experience yet to make them survive. But I get with what you're saying, and it's the same with Arteta. Like it was not working for a long time, and right now maybe he's winning the entire league. So sometimes time is just what you need. Again, I don't think it would have really helped in this situation, but I get what you're saying, that maybe that was what was needed. But I also think when it comes to the other guys you mentioned, Ancelotti, for example, maybe he was not making them champions or anything, but it worked pretty okay, I would say. And right now we are in a situation where, like, if the league ended right now, Everton will get relegated. And I think that's the key, that maybe the other managers would not have made them in top 4 or anything like that. But I feel like right now it's a little bit worse than it has been for a pretty long time with Everton. At least looking at the stats and table wise and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think if we'd have stuck with Martinez or Koeman when they were in, we would have been about where we are now. I think the only manager that actually come in and improved us was Ancelotti.
Yeah, I agree.
And then it was just a shame that the Real Madrid job come up when it was starting to look a bit better for us, because he brought in like Rodriguez and stuff. So having players like that come into the team, obviously it's going to be a lot better. And I think we finished 8th with Ancelotti.
Yeah.
So it's a drop from that right down to, I think, 16th last season.
Yeah.
Is horrendous. But we should never have got Rafa Benitez. That was just an appointment that I've never understood why anyone would ever bring him to Everton.
Why? Because he's ex-Liverpool manager.
He's an ex-Liverpool manager. He won everything with Liverpool, so he's clearly a Liverpool fan now. Just because he lives in the city, he got hired as the Everton manager. That was never going to work. Why? That shows the incompetence of the board.
I think also that's also another thing with all of this, that like a lot of bad moves been making the last couple of seasons with Ancelotti, as we just talked about. Him leaving was probably not the best because that was doing pretty okay. With Charlison leaving earlier this season or before the season started, like a lot of things that probably was not the best looking at it right now. But that's not stuff you can know at that point. But looking at it in hindsight, there's probably been a few moves that was not going in Everton's favor.
Is there much expectation for a new manager coming in? Like the Sean Dyche coming in, I think he seems to be the favourite. It seems like the deal's practically nearly done from what's being reported. As an Everton fan, what are you hoping for? Given what's come before, can there really be much of a realistic expectation for a new manager coming in to do miracles?
No, all Everton fans want now. And I speak on behalf of everyone, that all the groups that I'm in, and obviously I go to the match every weekend, or 90% of the weekends and stuff. All Everton fans want now is survival. We don't care about finishing 17th. We don't care if we're getting beat 10-0 on odd occasions, as long as we survive. We cannot go down as a team. It's all right when you've been a yo-yo club like Norwich and stuff, but when you're a team that haven't been down there, it's scary. It's scary. It really is. So any new manager that comes in, if they survive, that's what Everton fans will see as a miracle. Because right now, we're pessimistic.
Yeah.
So that, yeah. Well, thanks very much, Jason, for joining us. I know you have to go, so
I do.
thank you very much for joining
Great
us.
having you,
Thanks
man.
for having
Your
me.
insights and your thoughts.
I'll be back on whenever you want me.
Absolutely, we'll
Awesome,
definitely
man.
have you
Talk
back,
about other
especially
things than just
when you
Everton.
get a new manager and get your thoughts on things.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully a bit more positive next time. Thank
Hopefully,
you,
yeah.
guys.
See you, man.
Thank you
Great
very
having
much.
you.
Nice
See you,
chatting
mate.
to you.
Right.
Bye.
Well,
So myself and Andreas will continue. We will talk
yes.
about the League Cup semi-finals from during the week. Finals. So we had the first one was the Newcastle Southampton game. That was pretty much. It feels, I don't know, maybe to me it kind of feels like Newcastle maybe peaked a little bit too soon. It feels like they kind of exhausted a lot, like they had an amazing first half of the season, and now it just kind of feels maybe they're just we're starting to see the cracks maybe a little bit. Almiron hasn't scored in a while. It seems like he's the glue that holds Newcastle together. Maybe we're starting to see the cracks now that it's not a world-class team, that they just got, that Almiron was just found a bit of form, and everything he touched turned to gold, and that was that. And now all of a sudden he's not firing, and things are falling apart a little bit. Not falling apart, but they just looks like maybe things are just, there are cracks starting to appear. It could have easily been 1-1 if it wasn't for VAR, which we do need to talk about because there was the issue with the handball on Joe Linton for a second goal for Newcastle, and then I think Southampton had a goal ruled out as well because someone was offside, I believe, but it was marginal. But I don't know, it just feels like maybe things aren't going as well for Newcastle at the moment. I don't know why. Andreas, what's your kind of thoughts? Like, they played decently, but Southampton gave them a good game.
Yeah.
But then again, Southampton have been in good form. I don't know how much we can read into it. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
No, I completely get what you're saying, man. And it's I think we talked about it last time as well, where Warren was Tuesday, I think, where we talked a little bit about Newcastle, that they're still great, and there's no argument about that, but it's not quite where they used to be earlier this season. But interesting enough, in the last 5 Premier League games, they have not conceded any goal, and with this as well, still no goals scored against Newcastle. So defensively, it's going really, really well actually. But I think you're very, very spot on with Almiron that when it comes to the offensive part, he was maybe the glue that has really held it together. And now that he's not really performing, they are not really scoring a lot of these goals, and therefore winning with only 1 or 2 goals like this. And yeah, as you just said with Southampton, yeah, they have been pretty good lately. Yeah, they absolutely have, but we're still talking about the last place in Premier League right now. Last place, that's Southampton. And we're talking about Newcastle team that can very likely go into Champions League. So Newcastle should win with more than this. And I don't really remember the exact lineup, but as I remember it a little bit, Newcastle had a pretty strong lineup. And let's say Newcastle had a weaker lineup, maybe this will make sense. But with a strong lineup, Newcastle should win with much more than 1 goal against Southampton. Again, the worst team in Premier League right now, at least looking at the table. So yeah, I absolutely agree with what you're saying here. It's like, as you said, it's like they peaked too early, and now it's not quite on the level that it was before. But again, they're still winning, and again, it's not conceded in the last 5 Premier League games, and this one as well. So in that regard, it's going pretty well. But when it comes to goals, there seems to be a problem at this point. And yeah, I think you're spot on with Almiron maybe being the problem for that. But also, like, respect to Southampton for making it a close battle. Like Southampton did, I think this was probably at this point one of the most important things for Southampton, because if they could have went to the final, maybe even winning, that would have been huge for their pretty bad season so far. So yeah, sucks for them that they could not beat Newcastle. But again, Newcastle should win this, and it is surprising that they did not do it with more. So yeah, I agree with you. And I don't know Newcastle. It's difficult because there's a lot of things to it, and again, this is a minor tournament, if you can say it like that. But also
they played the best team though.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I said before. Like when I looked at again, don't remember quite the lineup, but from what I remember, it was a pretty strong lineup.
Yeah.
And that's why it's surprising. Like, let's say they have came with their second team, then fair enough, because Southampton is not that bad. It's still a Premier League team. But when you come with your strongest team and can only beat Southampton with 1 goal, that's not that good. So yeah, I think you're spot on with Almiron kind of being the glue offensively. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried for Newcastle, and also with just fighting for Champions League, that there is a lot of other teams that's kind of moving up there. So yeah, they need to be worried because getting to Champions League is far from safe yet. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. The second leg next week will be interesting, just to kind of see whether they can get back into it. They didn't play too badly, Southampton. They had their chances. It wasn't like it was Newcastle dominating, so it would be interesting to see what happens there. And then Wednesday night we had United beating Forest 3-0. Not really a surprise there. And Marcus Rashford solo goal that was world class again. He just keeps on firing. Can't stop him scoring at the moment. And then a couple of other goals. Weghorst got his first goal for United. A late tap in, and I can't remember who else scored off the top of my head. It seemed like United kind of ran the show, dominated. Forest did have chances, They did have a goal ruled out for offside because the player's knee was offside. Like, VAR kind of annoys me for these kind of things. Like, it's supposed to be there to avoid clear and obvious mistakes. If a player's knee cap is offside, that is not clear and obvious.
Yeah.
If you're having to draw imaginary lines to determine whether a player's knee is offside or not, then it shouldn't be used, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
It's pointless. It's minuscule errors. Like, it kind of defeats the purpose of the game. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so for me, like let's be completely honest and think about why is VAR a thing? Why did this thing get made even to begin with? And the sole reason for that is that there was a lot of things that was decided by the ref without really having to see the clear view of what happened. So we made VAR so now you can see what actually happened, and then the ref can make the right decision out of that. This is only a thing because we want the game to be as fair and honest as possible. But the thing is, right now we are discussing all of these decisions much more than we ever did before. And stuff like this was discussed a lot before VAR was a thing. But right now we are discussing a lot more about, oh, was this fair? Was this right? Was this not right? And that's not the concept of this. This should have been here to make stuff much more clear about the decisions. And it has just made it even more difficult to decide. And people arguing more and people disagreeing more. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but there's something wrong with having a system only made to make stuff easier, and then it ends up making it much more difficult. So yeah, I think there really is a problem with that. Yeah, I really think there is a problem with how all of this works. I've said it in the past that I really think it's starting to get annoying discussing all of that, because there's just something wrong with the system. So it kind of feels pointless to even discuss, because there's something wrong with the system, kind of, in my opinion, at least. So yeah, I completely agree that there is a problem with it, and I really feel like they need to look at that. But I also feel, to be completely honest, that it to me seems like the English system has more of a problem with it than some of the other leagues.
Yeah.
Not to say that the other leagues don't have problem with it, because I feel like every country has that. But I feel like in the English Premier League and Carabao and FA, it feels like there is more of a problem with making this work than there is other places. And I think that's something they really need to look at and try to do something about, because Premier League right now is considered the biggest and best league in football, and therefore they need to make sure that it's working. They need to be, how can you say, the responsibility they have with having this big league and having so many viewers for each match. They need to take that serious and really make all of it work. And I don't think they're quite doing that with VAR right now. So yeah, they need to take it more serious and find the right solution so it's working better.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the game? Did you get to watch it at all or see any highlights at all?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of highlights. But I think with what you said, that it's not surprising. To me, it actually is. Not that United is winning. That's not surprising. But I think we talked about it last time, that even with this break being there right now and Premier League first starting in a little bit, I'm still surprised that United and Newcastle are actually going out with so strong teams. That surprises me, because we are in the middle of the season. A lot of players are already injured all over the entire league. So I'm surprised that they are actually taking this tournament so seriously. But I also love to see it. I think it's really, really cool that these teams are actually taking it serious. And not to be rude or anything, but United versus Newcastle is a really, really exciting final if that's what we are getting. And I think it's really, really cool to see these teams actually using their best squad and taking it seriously instead of just being like, we have other games we need to think more about. So yeah, I think that's really great. And I think Forest is a pretty strong team right now. So yeah, really shocked for me at least that United was so dominant and scored 3 goals. And great that Weghorst started working. I think there's been a lot of jokes with him and is he really a United player? And so far it seems like he is. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I do. Talking of what I want to go back to what you said there about United and Newcastle putting out strong sides. In regard to United, especially, they did make a couple of changes. I know that I think Lindelof came in at centre back. Malacia was left back. I think they played. I think that might have been it. Did Fred play? I can't remember.
Weghorst playing is also.
Yeah, Weghorst wasn't really a change though. He was already in the team from Arsenal.
True.
I do worry about United and kind of them tiring out with that. Like, there's a lot of games to be played for United. They're going to be playing Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday. It's going to be Thursday, Sunday. Yeah, they're going to be playing Thursday, Sunday for a while with the Europa League coming up, starting soon in a couple of weeks' time. They have the second leg here. They're still in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
They're going to need to rest players at some point. And that's going to be interesting to see when they do that. I think they have to rest players against Forest next week.
Yeah, and I think that's also what I kind of said last time we talked that for me it's like, again, I think it's great that they are using the strong players and stuff like that, but it is a very, very tough season, and that is reality in all of this. For a team like United, there is 4 different tournaments or leagues that you have to be in. And that is the key in all of this. So I agree with you. I think that's something they need to be a little bit worried about, and that's also why I expected both United and Newcastle to have a little bit weaker teams, if you can say it like that. So yeah, that there's clearly ups and downs to coming with big squads in games like this. But yeah, great by United. But I agree with you that there is a little bit of a problem with United, and I feel like Ten Hag is a manager that, like, when he likes a player, he wants to use that player, and he can make changes. But in general, like he wants to use the same kind of players that he feels like is working, and that is something that managers should do. You need to have your kind of favorites that is working, but it's also something to be a little bit worried if you only use those guys. And I'm not saying that he is doing that, but it's just something you need to be a little bit worried, because they will end up getting tired. And with guys like in the midfield, for example, Casemiro and Eriksen that plays a lot in Premier League, they are not the youngest guys, so it's also something you need to think about and switch up a little bit.
To be fair, Casemiro got rest against Arsenal, not by choice. Yeah, but you are right. The midfield especially has a lot of legs in it. Casemiro, Eriksen, Fernandes. It does have a lot of legs, and that is a problem for sure. Yeah, we will move on anyway. We'll quickly have a quick preview of the weekend's FA Cup matches. I'm just loading them into the system here. Give me a couple of seconds to do that.
Can I ask you a question while you're doing that? Then?
Yeah, of course.
Was Casemiro playing against Nottingham? Because I don't remember the lineup.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he came straight back in.
And see, that's also a thing that's interesting, because I remember that he was not playing against Arsenal. But that's something where I'm like, okay, it's good that you're resting him. But if I was Ten Hag, I would rather rest him against Nottingham than I will rest him against Arsenal.
He was suspended. He got
okay,
he got a second yellow card against Crystal Palace and was out for the Arsenal game. Then it wasn't by choice.
I take my complaint back then, but you get what I'm saying. Like if he had been playing, that would have been a really. But yeah, so he's back now in Premier League and can play from next round.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel like he's really important. Again, I've said it before. I feel like the midfield in United is one of the strongest in the world right now, and he's a huge part of that.
Absolutely. So the fixtures are here. We have only one All Premier League tie this round, and that is Brighton versus Liverpool. I know our Liverpool friends will not be happy with that. With that draw, but yeah, anything. Let's have a quick chat. Let's go quickly through them. Walsall versus Leicester. I know Leicester aren't in the best of form right now, but they should pretty much.
This is for FA Cup, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
FA Cup fourth round. Yeah. I know Leicester aren't in the best of form right now, but I think they have a good chance if they play well. But like they should get through that, right?
Usually when you play well, you have a pretty good chance of winning, Harry.
I mean,
I get what you're saying. I'm just kidding.
It's a lower league side, so Leicester should win comfortably enough.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think the thing with Leicester is that Leicester should be winning. It's just with how it has been going lately, it's difficult to know. And that is kind of the thing with when you're playing in Premier League. It's difficult to know, like, if it's going bad for you, as it is for Leicester. How bad is it going? And that's difficult to know because going bad in Premier League just also says that the rest of the league is good. So this will be an interesting test to see how bad is it actually in Leicester.
Yeah,
but absolutely. Yeah, they should be winning comfortably.
Southampton versus Blackpool. Southampton. I feel like Southampton are going to rest some players because I feel like they will want to focus on the Cup during the week, the League Cup second leg, and trying to get a result against Newcastle and trying to get into a cup final. I think that will be their priority, but I think I don't think they will have too many worries against Blackpool, though. Blackpool, the bottom of the championship at the moment, should be pretty straightforward, you would imagine. I can't really see much for a shock here. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I think they should and will rest some players, Southampton, but they also need to be a little bit worried because if we are being completely honest, their chances of beating Newcastle is a little bit small, where it will probably be a good idea to just secure that you're moving on in this tournament.
Yeah.
So they need to be a little bit worried and try to come with a strong team, so to make sure they can beat Blackpool. But yeah, Southampton is not a bad team right now. They are winning some matches and doing kind of okay. So I would say they are winning this.
Yeah, Nathan Jones is doing good work there, to be fair.
Yeah.
Fulham versus Sunderland. Sunderland are probably the pick of the round to probably try and make an upset. They're 9th at the moment in the championship, it seems. What I'm seeing, 9th in the championship at the moment. They're not doing too badly at all. Fulham likely maybe might rest a few. I could see a shot. I could see an upset here. I don't know.
Interesting. I think if you had said Leicester versus Sunderland or Southampton versus Sunderland, I would have agreed much more with you. And I'm not ruling it out because I get what you're saying, but I feel like Fulham is pretty strong right now.
Yeah.
But if they are resting too many players, then it can be a problem because Fulham's squad is not that much better than Sunderland. So if they are resting too many star players, then Sunderland could make a huge surprise. But again, I feel like Fulham is favorites at the moment. But again, had it been against Leicester or Southampton, I would have been much more confident in Sunderland having a bigger chance. But yeah, anything is possible for sure. And yeah, then Preston versus Spurs. Yeah, I'm just reading them while you are texting.
Preston versus Spurs. Preston are 11th in the Championship at the moment. It's hard to know with Spurs. I feel like they should win, but you just never know with Spurs.
Yeah, I agree. Spurs should win, but you really don't know, and I also feel like Spurs right now will focus a lot of that time on Premier League and Champions League. I think they're still in there as well. Yeah, so they will focus on those two things when Champions League start up again. So I don't really know how much time and effort they put into this tournament. But yeah, they should be favorites for sure. And then we have United versus Reading. You want to start?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a possibility of Jadon Sancho coming back into the squad for this game, which is exciting. He's been away for a long time, since before the World Cup. That'll be interesting. I know Ten Hag kind of said today he was going to assess him and see how he was after training. That's exciting if he's going to be back. I think it'll be good. It'll be good to have him back, especially, and I hope he's rejuvenated, and I hope that he can get some form back, because Sancho at his best is world class. We saw that at Dortmund time after time. And I feel like, especially in a team with Ashford one side, Sancho the other side, if they're both in form, then United are going to be absolutely unstoppable, I think. And it's coming at a good time as well, with Barcelona coming up in a couple of weeks in the Europa and Premier League. So, look, that'll be exciting. I feel like United will probably give a few guys a rest as well. Some guys that played a lot of games, likes of Fernandes, I feel like they should probably give Rashford a rest. I know he's been in good form, but he can always come off the bench if they need him. Yes. Give a few guys a chance. Facundo Pellistri played well during the week when he came on. Pasta, as you like to call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Garnacho needs game time. Elanga. They have guys that can come in and play. Scott McTominay, Fred in the midfield. You could be looking at then in defence, Lindelof, Maguire hasn't played in a while. Tom Heaton in the goal maybe or even Nick Pope make his debut possibly. I feel like they should make a few changes, and they have a decent enough squad still with making changes to win still. But I think I can't see Reading really causing a whole lot of an upset. I'm just trying to see now where exactly they are. They're 14th in the Championship, so they're not really having a great run of things. And with it being at Old Trafford, I can't see anything other than a United win. I don't know about you, but...
Yeah, I agree. The only thing for me is that United has a lot going on right now. With trying to fight for top 4 in Premier League. They also have Carabao Cup right now, going to face Barcelona in Europa League. So I feel like they have a lot going on, and therefore I can be kind of worried that this will be not taken as seriously or something like that. But yeah, United should be heavy favorites in this, and if Sancho comes back, like he has a song for a reason. He has his very own song, the Sancho song, that we keep singing in our chat. And that is because he's a great player. You don't have your own song if you're not a great player. So yeah, United should be heavy favorites for sure.
Absolutely. Then Brighton-Liverpool. I think this is only going one way. Brighton win.
The Brighton way, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's difficult because, like, even with Liverpool and Chelsea as well, who are not even in this tournament anymore, even with Liverpool and Chelsea not performing that well, for me it's just the big six teams. They always have one kind of chance of winning. So it's difficult for me to say, oh, Liverpool don't have a chance, because it's still Liverpool, and if they somehow find their best, they should be favorites. The problem just is that right now they have not really been finding their best as of late. And because of that, I would say Brighton is favorites.
Yeah.
But again, maybe Liverpool is finding what they need for this, and maybe they will focus more on this tournament now with how it's going in Premier League. But yeah, Brighton I will say is favorites, but it can go either way.
Yeah. It's a strange world when we're saying Liverpool to win is an upset.
It is. It really is. It really is.
Then we have Derby versus West Ham. Just trying to see where Derby are at the moment. They're fourth in League One. So they're
in League One. Okay.
West Ham are struggling at the moment. Could we see a Derby upset?
Yeah, I guess so. Like in League One, it's a little bit down.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change that. Like, I guess you can say that the best teams in League One right now is performing better than the worst teams in Championship, simply for the reason that they have more momentum going on and they are winning their matches, and so in that regard, even if it's League One, Derby have some momentum that West Ham don't have right now. And that is a key thing. Even though West Ham has a bigger squad and stuff like that, Derby has some momentum right now that West Ham don't. But I would say West Ham should be favorites, and with their win against Everton, I think they really have a chance of turning this around. If it will happen, I don't know. I said that last time, but I think they want to go out here and show that was not a one-time thing. And I think with Moyes, his job is still on the line, and it will be that for a while until he starts getting more wins under his belt. So yeah, I think West Ham is winning, but I can see Derby's momentum being enough. But yeah, West Ham is my favorites.
Yeah, and then we have Accrington Stanley against Leeds. Accrington Stanley are bottom of League One at the moment, so I think it's pretty much. I think Leeds will feel like it's going to be a comfortable win. I can't really see too much of an upset here.
Yeah, I've said that before, that I feel like Leeds is the most inconsistent team in the world, and I stand by that. But not that much. They're not that inconsistent that they should lose this. But yeah, I think Leeds is winning, but I still think Leeds is very hit or miss. But for this match, they should very much be winners.
Absolutely. And that brings us on then to our predictions game.
What about Arsenal City?
Yeah, we should probably talk about that actually. Yeah, that happened tonight. Manchester City won 1-0. Nathan Ake goal, winning it for them. It was pretty much City's strongest team, or well, what they consider to be their strongest team at the moment. It was the same thing they played on the weekend. Arsenal made 6 changes to the team. In came the out. I think Saliba came out, Ramsdale came out, Zinchenko came out, Xhaka came out. So there was a few changes there. Who else came out? Martinelli came out. We saw Trossard get his full debut for Arsenal as well. It looked like it was fairly even. Both sides had chances. Not really a whole lot in it.
No, No, I think honestly for me, the main thing in all of this is that I know it's probably not going to happen, but I can't ignore the idea of City versus Arsenal 2 times in Premier League. City wins both times. If that happens, we are going to look at a very different table.
Yeah.
Again, not saying it's happening, but it is interesting that can change so much, and they have not faced each other yet in Premier League. So we are talking about 2 games, and this is again, it's a different tournament. It's a little bit smaller than Premier League, but it still is interesting that right now we have actually seen City beat Arsenal. Again, different tournament, but they're still beating Arsenal, and I think that to me shows that there are some potential to City really do it somehow. So yeah, those two. I'm just even more excited.
Arsenal made 6 changes though. That's the thing. Arsenal made 6 changes to their regular team. Yes, it was still a strong team, but they did make changes.
Yeah, true. And a
And
very
we
new
know
player
from, and we
to
know
start.
from history, and we know from when they played PSV in the Europa League earlier in the season that when they do make changes, they lose or struggle because their second team, they don't have the strength in depth.
True. Yeah, that's a really good point. Arsenal don't have the strongest bench, and as you just said, Trossard first full time match here. So also will take some time for him to really start working. So yeah, I completely get that, and I agree with that. But we have to look at the result, and the result says that City won. And yeah, I get that it's under some circumstances that could easily end up not happening in Premier League, but it's still a win, and it's going to be really interesting to see those 2 matches now
Absolutely.
in Premier League. So yeah, but yeah, City. I guess City moves on then in this tournament, and yeah, that's going to be really interesting, and honestly probably the best for Arsenal, because now they can focus more on winning Premier League. They can focus more on Europa League. So I think honestly for Arsenal, losing this is maybe the best thing for them, to be
Yeah,
honest.
absolutely.
Especially with the bench.
Seems like City want this though because they've played a strong team twice now in in 2 weeks. In 2 rounds, they played their strongest team.
Yeah, I think honestly, when it comes to City with all of this, they just won a trophy, and right now winning Premier League looks a little bit difficult, and winning Champions League is something that they have not done before, so that's also not something they can just expect to do. So I think City goes all out on this because this could end up being their best chance of winning a trophy. And they're not in Carabao anymore, so yeah, I think they are going all out on this and want this trophy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We will move on to our predictions game quickly. I'll go through the predictions from last week. We only had 3 of us make predictions. We had Warren say United to beat Forest, Newcastle to beat Southampton. Got a point for each there. Andreas said Newcastle to beat Southampton and Ericsson goal or assist. To the best of my knowledge, he did not get anything. So you got 1 point for Newcastle to beat Southampton. Then I had United to beat Forest and Rashford goal or assist, 1 each. So the leaderboard going into the final weekend of our mini league stands at myself on 11, Warren on 9, Richard on 3, Andreas on 2, and Abu on 1. The pictures are down the bottom of your screen, Andreas. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Let me see here. It's difficult because there's not that many big matches.
Yeah.
I think I'm going with Brighton to beat Liverpool.
Brighton to beat Liverpool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one more. One more. I'm going with Ward-Prowse to make a sister goal for Southampton.
Assist or goal?
Assist or goal, just one of them.
Okay. I wasn't sure whether you said or
Ah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Assist or goal, so just one of them.
Yeah. Get a goal or assist. Okay. I will go with Derby to beat West Ham. And I will go with United to beat Reading.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, that is.
But you will go with. I thought you would go with Sunderland. Not this time.
Not this time.
Yeah.
That is it from us. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll be back on Tuesday to review the weekend's FA Cup matches, look ahead to the 2 semi-final second legs of the Carabao Cup. So we will see you then. Stay safe everybody. Have a great weekend.